Right then guys, quick check in on the vlog today. So I'm going to be training, I think, biceps today. I know my training's been a little bit perhaps all over the place recently, and to be honest, I'm not too bothered about that. I think it's just been a case of the hotel gym has saved me a lot of money and has just saved me a lot of time throughout my day. And actually it's been really nice because I've been able to go back to my old training split, which I don't think is perhaps the most productive thing to do long term, but basically biceps, triceps, chest, shoulders, rather than doing push and then arms, etc. So that's been quite fun and has mixed things up a little bit. But yeah, today I'm just planning on mainly doing cardio and a little bit of biceps. But how fucking beautiful is this sunset? Like, absolutely insane here. So this is only a 2-minute ped ride from my hotel that I'm staying at in KOH LANTA. And yeah, plan, like I said, biceps nice and quick with those, minimal rest time. Obviously I'm still going to take like standard rest times, but I'm not going to be taking excessive rest times is what I'm saying. But that kind of aligns with what I've been doing anyway, because basically the weights in there are still quite good. They go up to 25 kg dumbbells, so better than some hotels. If you're from the US, that's probably around like 55 pounds or so, but it's not obviously like super heavy. So for most things like curls, etc., 25 kg is going to be fine, and I don't need too much rest time. So currently I'm just getting some extra steps in, which is why I'm not too worried, because the gym is actually going to close in around like, I think, an hour and a half, just over an hour and a half. So I should be able to get in there with at least an hour left, maybe like minimal time, 45 minutes, which will be enough for me to basically get biceps in. And like the longer I spend on the beach walking, obviously that will then add more cardio. So yeah, pretty much I'm taking this time to do some steps, get some cardio burn. Today's been a pretty chill day. Today's a Monday and I have been doing my client check-ins. So yeah, actually really positive today. Like, I've had a fantastic day of check-ins and all my clients are absolutely smashing it. So really nice to see, and kind of sometimes living vicariously through them, especially if they're on a different phase. So for example, like some of them just starting off in the gym, I can really appreciate that new energy. But also people that are bulking when I'm currently dieting, that's also really cool. So food wise today, I've had the kind of usual stuff: 2 chicken and cheeseburgers. Those are 700 calories together and a total of 40 grams of protein. And then I had a matcha shake, which was fucking disgusting, but that was all they had, and I didn't want to drive to the next 7-Eleven. So yeah, had one of those. That was 30 grams of protein, so total 70 grams of protein and about 900 calories, which is enough for me. I'm really full right now, so which is also why I'm quite happy to just have a little stroll. So yeah, anyway, just thought I'd check in, show you the sunset, which is absolutely wonderful there, and that'll be it. So I'll see you for the first set of triceps, but I'll probably do a voiceover because it will be not super busy around the area, but it is the kind of time that people have their meals in the restaurant. So that is my only thing that I don't like here, is that you're training right next to people in the restaurant, so don't have much privacy, but obviously still very grateful to have a free access to a gym. So yeah, enough chit chat guys, let's get into the voiceover. Right guys, so here we are again with another hotel workout. So this will be the last bicep hotel workout that I do at this particular hotel gym, and although it looks like it's similar to the last few workouts that I've done here perhaps, it definitely switches up a lot as we go through the session. So you'll see here I start to do some single arm cable work, etc. I also speed up a lot of these clips because I am going high rep. The weight that I'm doing here is not light. I think it is 25 kilos, it might be 22.5, but that is around sort of 45 pounds up to around probably not quite 50 pounds, but somewhere around that region. So yeah, still keep my strength on this dieting phase. And you can see here from the 1,000+ calories that I'd had before the session, this is, in my opinion, a true visual representation of what carbohydrates can do. So, you know, I've literally only done here a handful of reps and my arm vein is just absolutely popping out. And you know, prior to this I hadn't done any sort of swimming or running or physical activity which would kind of, you know, pump blood into my body there. Obviously running's going to be typically more legs, but you get what I'm saying. I haven't done any strenuous activity, so this is purely going to be from just the sets that I've done there, as a result of the heat, the carbohydrates, and then the actual exercise. So yeah, a really nice difference, because as you guys will see and have seen if you watch any of the videos previously, 99% of my training is realistically fasted at this point in the diet, because it is now the last kind of 10 days of the dieting phase. So it really is time to just knuckle down and give it everything I've got at this point. So, you know, the further you get into a diet, the more important each day becomes realistically. And, you know, you don't want to tell yourself that at the start of a diet, because then that could be a way for you to convince yourself that things aren't as important. Obviously, every little helps, and there's multiple ways to look at it, guys. You know, you're not going to sugarcoat it. If you do mess up on your diet, it's not ideal, but you can definitely find a way around it. And just because you mess up one day doesn't mean that the whole diet is written off. But the further into the diet that can happen, it is more serious. So I'm not going to be messing up at all with my food, with my training, anything like that, just making sure it's all on point. And I'm not training for a specific reason in terms of a competition or anything like that, but just obviously when you set yourself a goal, it feels really good to, you know, give it everything you've got and actually see what you can do. And then from that point onwards, that becomes like the new benchmark. So when I then do diets in the future, I can reference this diet in terms of how I was looking, what muscle groups I've brought up in the bulking phase between those two diets. So realistically, for most people that take the gym seriously and that do go through cycles of bulking and cutting, that is what you're trying to do. You're trying to build up some muscle, you put on a little bit of body fat, you strip that body fat away, and then you reveal what you've actually realistically put on without all of that extra body fat, which may be misleading. And then from there, you can decide what do you want to kind of focus on for the next bulk. Now, a lot of people will not even get to that point in time, unfortunately, because they'll kind of, you know, do a little bit of a diet phase, and then maybe they'll start to lean bulk, and that'll all just go out the window. You know, they'll put a lot of body fat on, maybe they stop training, they lose interest. So once you go through a couple of those cycles, I do find that you have such a great understanding and such a good level of consistency that then you're kind of just locked in, and it's really easy to just replicate that as the years go by. At least that's what I've found for myself and for my clients. So yeah, definitely, obviously practice makes perfect, and there's no such thing as perfection when it comes to training and things like that, but you can obviously perfect your routine to a certain extent and always look to improve it. And, you know, setting goals, moving forward, progression is what keeps things interesting, and it also is what pushes you to learn and try new things, which is really important. And I do enjoy, even to this day, you know, almost a decade into training, still trying to push myself and others around me and not get too focused with constantly switching things up and trying new things, but still being open-minded and looking at, even now, new exercises, new ideas which are coming out, which aren't necessarily put out there to completely change the game, but just to give you a different perspective on training, or a different outlook, or be able to do it at a home gym rather than an actual gym, or be able to utilize a piece of equipment which you thought only had one purpose, or to be able to try a different attachment which you'd only use for one specific exercise. So yeah, just things like that keeps it interesting. And, you know, when you go through injuries or you go through different periods of training, like for me, for example, when I'm traveling and when I'm out of the UK, being then forced to try different machines and different things which I wouldn't usually try is fun, and I do like that challenge. I will say that I am looking forward to being back in a base where I can just build properly, in terms of having access to a full kitchen with everything I need to meal prep and actually store those meals. And, you know, when I'm trying to gain weight, I'll have calories upwards of 4, 5, 6,000 at the peak bulk, which isn't ideal, but it is just what happens when you do bulk for a prolonged period of time. So my goal will be to put on that muscle in a sustainable and efficient way. But when you're traveling, I would argue that it's probably easier to diet, because most of the stuff that you're doing is going to be active, you're going to be moving around more, you're not going to have the luxury of being able to store things and have loads of space, etc., at least from my experience. So yeah, it can be done, guys, and I wouldn't want to be the person to say that just let excuses get in the way and things like that. Obviously, if you've got a goal, you can make it happen, but what I'm trying to say is sometimes just using your environment to your kind of benefit and trying to capitalize on that at that point in time can be more efficient, instead of swimming into the current, let it kind of push you in a certain direction, if that makes sense. When you're ready to actually make that change or go a certain direction yourself, i.e. start bulking or start cutting when it's more effective within your lifestyle, then go for it. Now, what I'm talking about is kind of very extreme. So, you know, most people when they're bulking won't be trying to put calories into their body on a daily basis of 5,000-6,000, but some people will. So for a lot of you guys, if you're just into training for the first few years, or if you've got a probably normal metabolism, your calories will be maybe around 3,000, 3,500, something like that. That's quite a typical number for most people, but it can vary. But when you're cutting, a lot of people obviously will have lower calories, and high output is always encouraged, especially in a hot country. You know, you're constantly sweating, you're constantly moving about, and it's not nice to sit there eating loads and loads and loads of food for weeks and weeks on end. So that is why I will be pretty much, you know, focusing on dieting while I'm in a different country, but it can change and it all depends on the goals. So yeah guys, that was just a little insight into my current training and my thought process with my dieting while I'm traveling. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Drop a subscribe, and as always, the only way is up.